is the Congressman from the 5th District in Minneapolis, Congressman Keith Ellison, and we really appreciate him being here. He comes every year to our fly-in, and we appreciate hearing his thoughts on what's going on with transportation. So let's all give him a welcome. Representative Keith Ellison.
How's it going, everybody? Well, let me just tell you what I so firmly believe. Your presence here is so critical. I know that there might be some who say, well, why don't we just send them letters or have a conference call? No, you getting on that plane, flying here, talking to us about the importance of infrastructure development and transportation is really important. We have to eyeball this thing. It is important for me to soak up the stories, the experiences, the perspectives that you have, and you know, paper and electronics just don't really do it. We need to be in the room together to talk about how we do it. I want you to know that my commitment to infrastructure and transportation and transit is as solid as ever. I believe that it is essential. It's not just a matter of improving of jobs, although it is. It's not just a matter of improving productivity, though it is. Us Minnesotans know it's a matter of, like, safety. I mean, I was traumatized by that bridge fall 10 years ago. I'll never forget it. Whenever I go over that bridge, I still remember it. And I'm sure all of you do, too, as well. And if anybody's in a position to make that call to action, it is us from Minnesota. But we're not alone. All over the country there's infrastructural problems. All over the country there needs to be rebuilt. And so, you know, we're just one of many other jurisdictions who know that this is an urgent, pressing national priority. And so you can count on me to be there for it. I will tell you in a minute that there are I do have some reservations, maybe more than some, about the proposal that the president came with. I'll share those with you. I want you to know that any meaningful infrastructure project I'm going to be there for, but I'm not going to be there for not meaningful infrastructure investment, because I think it's just too important. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. So let me just say, the FAST Act passed, $4 billion more in Minnesota. The Southwest Light Rail Blue Line extension, critical transit projects, they're in the budget proposal. I thought that was important. I'm telling you, Southwest, to me, is incredibly important. I monitor it daily. I make my staff tell me what's the latest, what's the greatest. I continue to be concerned about Botno. We're working with Commissioner OPEC to make sure it remains a priority. I think it is a critical priority. I think it's a key part of the system, but that is a battle that we're going to have to fight. It's not mentioned specifically yet. We're going to continue to work on it, though. And if you guys have any thoughts on how we work together to push it, I think that is something that's well worth a discussion. These critical transit projects rely on federal funding, like half, and so I'm committed to fighting for it, and that means going to deal with the Federal Transit Administration's capital grant program. So it's important to mention that the President's budget proposal eliminates the program entirely, with the exception of projects that have received full funding grant agreement. I want to just mention this because, look, we can wish we were in a post-partisan world, but we're not. And so I just want to say this to you. I don't know what party you're in. I don't give a damn. I'm here to work with you, whatever. But some of you guys, if you are Republicans, it's important to talk with the administration about how key these programs are. Us Democrats need you to go talk to your friends in the administration and say, look, you know, it's not just party politics. This is getting folks around. This is public safety. This is jobs. We got to be a team on this stuff. If we're united on this transit stuff and we believe in it, where we can be influential on the liberal side, we'll do that. And you are conservative and influential on the conservative side, we need you to do that, because the best interests of Minnesota and the American people are at stake. We've got to figure out how to come together and use our assets to be maximally influential. Going back to Southwest and Botno, neither of these projects currently have a full funding grant agreement. So there's reason to worry. So if the president's budget became law, these two projects would not be funded and would not be able to move forward. What does that mean in terms of jobs? What does that mean in terms of getting people around? What does that mean in terms of our large companies? They've got to get their employees to work on time. And so this is an urgent moment, I think. We need long-term solutions that increase our investment in infrastructure. The American Society of Civil Engineers has estimated we need $4.6 trillion in investment in infrastructure just to bring the country in a state of good repair. I know that you know that, but I want you to know that I know that, so that we can work together on this jointly shared priority. I do support gas tax. We haven't raised it in 20 years. I think it's legitimate to do that. I don't even know why we call it a tax. We should call it a user fee, which is what it is. And I also know that there are problems in terms of this fuel efficiency increases. The tax will decrease. We've got to get creative and innovative on how we fund our roads. But for the time being, if there was a gas tax in front of me, I'd be a strong green, voting yes. I support reestablishing the financial transactions tax on Wall Street transactions or creating an infrastructure investment bank. Both of these things I think would be beneficial, and I'd be fine to devote them to transit, transportation, roads, bridges, infrastructure on the whole range. I also introduced a piece of legislation called the MOVE Act last Congress and this Congress. It improves transportation planning to provide a variety of transportation options, better connect people to their jobs, and provide improved accessibility for disadvantaged people. I think in our country we need to always keep our eye on the prize in terms of making sure that everybody can make it in America. Transportation is a huge part of that. There was a study came out a few years ago that said, look, if you want to figure out who's going to be in poverty, figure out who has the longest commute. There's a study that basically demonstrates this, and of course it has disparate impact on communities of color, poor white communities, Latinos, so on and so forth. So I just also wanted to point out to you that the Congressional Progressive Caucus, which I used to be co-chair of, I'm not anymore, just has come out with a piece of legislation called the Century New Deal for Jobs, the 21st Century New Deal for Jobs, and calls for direct public investment in transportation and other public works. It's H-Con Res 63, and it would provide $2 trillion over 10 years in direct federal funding for a wide range of infrastructure projects, including projects to improve public transit systems, internet, water, and sewer. Here's an interesting, ironic point. Steve Bannon actually endorsed a program somewhat similar to this, noting that we have historically low interest rates. Let's do the investment. So so we don't have complete disagreement. There are people in the administration who think this is a good thing. I'm pledging to you right now, if they come up with something like what Bannon said or what I believe is right in terms of making these investments in infrastructure, taking advantage of historically low interest rates, spending the money, as long as I'm not going to sign it without reading it. But I'm telling you, that's the kind of thing that I could get behind, but that's not what we're seeing out of the Trump administration. We're seeing other stuff that I think is not good. Anyway, the Trump administration's plan takes the federal government out of the business of funding capital costs of transit and leaves it to cities and local units of government that use them. The fundamental flaw in that thinking is that we are a nationally connected society. We need to think nationally when we think about building our infrastructure and our transportation systems. We cannot let our transportation policy be about, giveaways and loopholes. It has to be something that includes everybody, includes our rural communities. I want you to know that I'm absolutely committed as an urban legislator to funding rural transportation. I believe teamwork makes the dream work. We all are in this. And if I want rural legislators to support transit projects, I better support their projects. And I'm here to tell you that I'm prepared to do that, be honored to do it. So anyway, the bottom line is that is what I want to share with you today. I want to let you know that it is important that you're here, and I do want to hear your point of view. I didn't want to just come, give a speech, and then run out. If you all have some things that you think I need to know, whether you think I would agree with you or not, I appreciate hearing the perspective. We all have to figure out how we're going to rebuild this country's infrastructure. You know, for the jobs, for the productivity in our economy, and for safety purposes. And so that's what I want to share with you today. And I don't know, is it okay if I, you know, we have a little bit of dialogue?
Sure.
Yeah, is that okay? Anybody have anything they want to share? Any perspectives? Anything I don't know that I ought to know? Yes, sir.
You know, one of the things you talked about the gas tax, I would call it a use tax.
Okay.
And we have a trucking outfit in Gary, South Dakota, that says put 20 cents on. It'll save us time and it'll be more efficient, the whole bit. The other thing is, I think we should be doing something with electric cars on their tab, put a fee on that.
Yeah.
That's another way. The other thing I think is, we use transportation money to build bike trails. I think we should be putting something on bicycles, maybe buy them or something.
Well, you could maybe do it at the, you know, at the point of sale or something like that.
That's what I thought about.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think those are good ideas. I think they're all fair. They all put a little bit of more pressure on our system, right?
Right.
And so we want to avoid, you know, if everybody does a little, no one individual has to do a lot. So I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense, and we record those ideas.
That's one way of paying for it too.
Yeah.
Just trying to find it someplace else. I think we're using it, we should be paying for it.
Yeah, I mean, I love the electric car idea, but I also know that it still puts pressure on the system, and we got to pay for the system. Yeah.
You know, we're all planners and engineers, and it takes a long time to develop a project from cradle to grave to
Yep.
implementation. So with the uncertainty of the revenue, and we borrowed $138 billion, I think, from the general fund into the trust fund to keep it solvent. We've got the same problem at the state level. We have a 2-year bill, but we should have had a 10-year bill. But we're grateful to have what we have. So it just creates a big problem to get these big infrastructure projects off the ground when we don't know what the funding level is going to be. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I think it's something that we just need to really get home and communicate to people that this is serious, and we don't really have a way of operating with not knowing how much funding is coming from year to year.
Yeah, thank you for that. I agree, and I love the long-term bills, and I agree with all. Yeah.
There's been a lot of conversation about streamlining permitting in environmental, but a lot of what takes time is I work for a county, coordinating with
Which one?
Washington.
Oh yeah.
Work on the gold line projects with 5 cities, 2 counties.
Yep.
And a lot of the time early is coordinating with the locals, whether it be businesses, residents, cities, to make sure we're building a project that makes sense for them.
Right.
And that is something that takes a lot of time, but it's also extremely valuable.
Yeah.
And I think that piece of it can never be taken away, and shouldn't be. We have a lot less valuable projects, but that time does cost money, and that's something, you know, permitting is one thing, but that coordination takes a lot of time too, and it's of such value. And we haven't heard a lot of that from the Trump administration about those sorts of things. I mean, we can railroad over everybody and build a project that I want to tomorrow, but that's not going to be the best project for everybody in our neighborhood.
And let me tell you, from my perspective, it's hard enough getting municipal consent when you have long conversations. I have never seen a transit project that was not a heavy lift and was in doubt. I mean, whether it's Hiawatha or the Green Line between the 2 cities. I mean, I remember being in meetings fighting with President Brunix of University of Minnesota, the NPR. I mean, and now we're fighting at Southwest. I'm like, yeah, what else is new? Of course. You know, we struggle through these things. But these moments to get it right are critically important. And getting the route right, and there's no way anybody in Washington can figure out what the route needs to be. You got to have a conversation at the local level to see how it's going to affect people. So I endorse that. I'd like to make it as fast as we can, but not faster, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Appreciate your support for that rail. North Star up to St. Cloud. You know, we're looking to get that link from Big Lake up to St. Cloud, and
That's what we needed, man.
All right.
I wish we'd have done it all along before.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It was a mistake not getting it done from the get-go. But
Part of it was a political problem, right? But at the end of the time, look, you know, that's a growing, thriving community. They got to get around, and the pressure on 94 is not getting lighter, you know. And so I agree. But let me tell you, your advocacy here makes a huge difference. And so I just, you know, put me on board for that. I mean, I think it's exactly the right thing we need to do. And then even make it better. I mean, can we get some fiber optic cable in there? I mean, what is the newest, the latest, the best, so that we're building a road for the 21st century, the 22nd century, not. I mean, you know, one of the things is, you know, we're all riding around on our grandparents' infrastructure investments right now. What's our generation going to bring? We have to do this. Well, everybody, hope you have a great visit. I'm up there in 2263. My office is your office. Whether it's in the district or here, let's just keep working together. And our unity and working together does not depend upon us agreeing on everything. We'll hug it out if we don't agree. You know, but we've got to continue to work together. To me, I think this is one of the most important things we can do for the American people and for Minnesota. Thanks a lot, everybody.